Can I take first? Am I taking the lead?
Yeah, okay.
All right, welcome everybody to Young Man's Game. I'm Ryan, the editor. This, of course, is your host, Joaquin Gage. But the thing is, we need an origin story from Joaquin. So to flip the script halfway through our season, we wanted to talk to Joaquin about what his transition from the world of hockey into his new career is like. So Joaquin, welcome to your show.
Oh, thanks. Great to be here. It's funny when this came about and I started thinking about the transitions. It's such a major point in most people, but in hockey, I think, because essentially that's what my life revolved around. Was playing hockey, right? I didn't know anything else. Actually, it's funny. Just the other day, I was at the rink. The Edmonton Oilers were practicing, and I was talking to a few players. And the transition where in hockey you're 22, 23, you think you're young, and you are, but you age quickly.
Yeah.
Right? You age really quickly, but not really. So you get 28, 29, you're middle-aged. 30s, you're an old man. Right? That's how you're.
That's so weird.
It's so bizarre because you come out of hockey thinking I'm old, but really there's so much more runway down the road to what you got to do and how are you going to do this.
And then meanwhile, you have an average Joe like me who watches guys like you. And then when I see that you're aging out of the league or something, and I realize that I am 3 years older than you, then by contact, I also feel old. So there's an insane illusion going on.
It's crazy the way it goes. But, the transition, that was so difficult because you think you can play this for a majority of your life, and when you realize that, oh my gosh, this is coming to an end, right? So what are you gonna do? What was I going to do? And I've gone through multiple transitions, I think, in my life. My last year playing, I like to look at my life in reverse. I kind of had retirement first. I was living in northern Italy playing hockey. Like, come on, please.
As an aside, really quick. Is the pasta game in Italy?
Oh my gosh!
It's real. It's real because sometimes I'm scared that you hype it up and then you go and you eat a couple bowls and you're like maybe a bit better, but
no, man, it is. Everything is so much better.
That's awesome.
In Italy, it's crazy. You go to a little place, doesn't matter. Like it'll just be a hole in the wall little restaurant, and you'll get a little bowl of pasta, and at every bite, you're just like, how did they do this? And I've boiled it down. It's just simple. It's like 2 or 3 ingredients is the key to Italian cuisine. It's phenomenal. But the pizza itself, it's just to be able to go and get a real Italian pizza anywhere at any time for pennies, essentially. It's
really? Man. See, and I think like in terms of you project it like on the world spectrum, I'd say that's probably like the combo of the two might be the number one food goal for people. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if there's any other country that measures up.
Yeah, everyone, like their European vacations for, I would say, the majority of North America. Oh, I got to go to Italy and try the food. Right?
I got to go to Britain and eat wet potatoes.
It's
co-opted curry foods.
It's not the same. Not the same at all. But, and then obviously where I lived, you would walk down the streets and most of them would have the kilns, basically, the wood-fired ovens.
Oh, yeah.
So you smell you're in the winter, it's snowing, and you're walking through the little cobblestone streets and with the smell of firewood and pizza and food. It's crazy. I can't wait to eventually get back there. But okay.
Sorry, massively massive. That'll always happen with food. Okay.
So what was I going to do first? I didn't really know. It's a funny story. My brother-in-law, who was a technician with Shaw Cable, I would come home in the summer, and my routine was essentially just training and getting ready for the season. And I would sometimes go over to his house, and he was always home. And so I go, you got a day off today? And he goes, no, I'm working. And I was like, geez, what is this guy doing? This seems like a good job. So I actually, months left when I knew I was going to finish hockey, I was preparing resumes, and I fired one off to Shaw Cable. And I got a reply right back. And essentially, I came home, I went to Banff on a little ski trip, and I had my first job interview from there. So again, coming from a background of essentially my job interview was someone watching me on the ice to being face to face and having a conversation, massive difference, right? So, and coming from a locker room background.
Right. So sorry to interrupt, but in the chronology of all this, you're in Italy, and is this right at the end of your playing
This is my
career?
last year playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
2005, 2006, around there, I believe. That's when I knew I was debating one more year, but I had a small child. He was starting to get missing things from home. Right, so we'd leave, and he was upset. He wanted to see his grandma, grandpa, things like that. So, and that was very hard to take him out once he starts establishing roots. Right, so made the decision. But that first interview, talking to essentially to Edmonton Oiler fans. So it wasn't really much of an interview beside me telling old hockey stories.
Right.
So, and of course, they asked me some of the questions that they needed to ask me, but I came out of there feeling like $1 million, thinking. And I remember coming home and telling my wife that, this is easy. I got the job for sure. But I remember Scott Ranger. He was the higher up supervisor. I had to come in a week later, and he put me over the coals a little bit.
Oh,
yeah? I got halted in my tracks pretty quick he was lots of in-depth questioning, and I was sweating in there. There was no kind of hockey, what you're doing here. It was about the job. But fortunate enough, I got it. I was started training as an installer. I was always comfortable with people, even people I didn't know. And as a hockey player, you grow up living in billet families, so a family that you don't know, and all of a sudden you're living in their house. So I was comfortable going into people's homes, talking to them, fixing their problems, things like that. So that was not a major issue. A lot of guys do have problems with that.
Right,
so,
yeah. No, it would be kind of a bit of a learning curve for many people, I imagine.
Yeah, and you going into people. Not everyone lives the same.
Yeah.
That's another episode of people's homes.
Yeah.
But
what's that smell?
yeah, exactly. There's kids wanting to play with you all of a sudden. They're going through your tool bag and running around with your drill while mom's smoking cigarettes, sitting on the couch, thinking she's got a cable guy / babysitter all of a sudden.
That's funny. Wow.
But no, it was an enjoyable job because at the start, as an installer, when you were like Santa Claus. You were coming in and people were getting something from you.
Right. Yeah.
And I loved it. I was doing well. You were making a good salary. It was something different, and it was different every day. Learning a new trade is always exciting, but things change. You look back at 2008, 2009, the most important thing for a person say they were moving to a new home was probably a home phone, just so they could phone someone because they needed to communicate with a new job or whatever it was. And so it slowly started to change, even from TV, like cable boxes.
Yeah, cable TV.
Can you imagine that? Like half the people people don't even have. It's all streaming now. So it just progressed to not being able to do certain things in the home, and just kind of internet became the main focus of everyone. So you could see a change on how everything was working. There was a lot of self-installs, so that was taking away from a lot of the ability to earn more with different things that we were doing in the home. So again, I kind of saw the writing on the wall and decided, you know what, it's time to why not make another transition? So, geez, it's funny how I'm at a vintage where usually you found a profession, that's what was it, and you went to retirement, right? I think nowadays you do see people doing different things throughout their
sure.
lives and different careers, and I like that. I think probably it's I mean, we look at all the mental health struggles. I'm sure that's part of it, just people stuck in what they're doing and not enjoying it and causing pain in their lives, right? So I've been fortunate enough to like what I've been doing for a long time. Everything that I've done, I really enjoy. So
that's sweet.
This was probably the toughest time in between. So I had left Shaw Cable, and really not knowing what I want to do, what's available to me. I thought about getting back into the hockey atmosphere and doing some maybe coaching or mentoring, something like that along those lines. But I just found that I didn't have the same enthusiasm towards coaching as some of my friends do, right?
It absolutely happens. I mean, it's a whole different sector of like skill sets, really.
Yeah. I've done it before. I've done camps. I've worked with kids, and I have friends that are great at it. That's what they're supposed to do. It's just not for me. I can do it a little bit here and there.
Yeah, you can't see it being, I'm going to show up and do this day in and day out. Yeah.
I found when I did do it, I would get on the ice, and the first thing I looked at was the clock to see when is this thing over. And that's something that you don't want to get involved in, I don't think. So, being fortunate enough to play hockey at a high level for a long time, I've made a lot of contacts. Obviously, now we're at a point where LinkedIn and putting your resume out, so lots of people have eyes on it. And I was contacted by a financial planning firm. It was Freedom 55. They've changed the name because it's not really realistic anymore. But, they contacted me and said, "Hey, is financial planning something that you would be interested in?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." So again, I get the questionnaire to see your how you think about things, and I guess I passed because they brought me into the office and went through the interview process again. So, and this was, I had done it before, so I kind of knew what to expect a little bit, but it was a real conversation with the head guy at Canada Life in Edmonton here, and he did a really good job of kind of getting to see who I was, explain the difficulty of the job and what it would take and all the details, and how it's going to be a struggle, right? So
what were some aspects of that struggle that he detailed?
There's so much to know, and you're not gonna ever know anything. Not gonna ever know everything, right? So that was, and I still struggle with this a little bit because I wanna know everything. I wanna know how everything works. I wanna be able to do everything, a one-stop shop. So that's, I think, what I struggled with first, and that was. He explained it, and the one thing he said that I had that he could see was just the ability to talk to people, the ability to make a phone call and talk to someone I didn't know, like that. And I had been doing that for 10 years with Shaw. I've been phoning them and saying, "Hey, this is me, blah blah blah." So I was used to doing stuff like that. It wasn't an issue for me. So he saw that I had a certain set of skills, not Liam Neeson skills, but skills that would help me in this.
Quite taken with you. It's quite taken with you.
that would translate really good to this profession. So now, almost 4 years later, taking some courses, trying to get those little 3 letters beside your name, things like that, and working at K4 under the tutelage of Kent. Kent's one of the, he's a very smart, intelligent guy, and I enjoy working with him, and he helps me. So, that's kind of, so different transitions, different ways that happened throughout my whole career.
And it sounds like the 2 transitions were kind of different in the sense that even though you spent 10 years there or whatever, it's like with Shaw, that was kind of, I mean, you're coming out and you have something that's, based on your first interviews, almost floated your way, and then you get grilled a bit when you actually show up by the guy who's like, I like soccer, this guy doesn't, But then on the other end, you get out after the 10 years, and there's that conceit that maybe this isn't my, I'm not going to hop over to another provider just because the writing's on the wall for this one, or I'm not going to go adjacent in the AV space or something like that. I'm going to, find something new. And in that respect, I guess because the first one was almost floated, and the second one someone reached out to you, but still, the second one feels like, I mean, seems to me like a fine career, and it feels like that it's like with the CFP or the associate or whatever designation you have or will have or whatever, that's kind of like a career where you acknowledge that you build a book of business, and so entering that field, I don't think there's any illusion of it being a short in and out. Like the conceit is that you're entering another phase of your career, right?
This is, and I think that's what in that interview with Canada Life said. Look, this is a huge step. Like it's a huge commitment. So if you're not ready for this isn't for you, right? Mm-hmm. It was funny because when I eventually said yes. He went away and handed me like 5 big books. I said, okay, read these. Your classes start Monday. And it was like Thursday. And I, complete panic, an online course, phoned the professor right away and said, hey, am I going to be able to do this? Because I saw what I would have to complete over the next few weeks. And he goes, just read this book and you should be able to do it. So worked out. But yeah, it was from the one at Shaw, I think I just didn't know any better, right? I came home and I just jumped into something. Yeah. It was so new that I don't think I even had a time to think about it, really, right?
Yeah.
And it was exciting because it was something I hadn't done before. There was tons to learn. I would say that little 3-year spot, right? You do something for 3 years, then you start going, okay, things start to click a little bit more.
So when you're a player, in like say even the NHL, or would like the Players Association, do they have like training materials or any kind of thing that they offer for life after hockey? Is there like that kind of a resource for people who are playing? Like, are they getting you ready for anything like that?
They do a better job of that now.
Yeah.
Even like I still get emails and stuff, and even for spouses, like that's because it's really tough for spouses, because they're following around. So some guy, like we're not, unfortunately we're not all Connor McDavids. We're not socking away a ton every 2 weeks.
But also with Connor, it's like I really don't think he spends his summer on the couch. I think he like stays at home and nods at the girlfriend once, and then he's off to freaking Gary Roberts. And
he's probably shooting pucks at her. That's what
that's the only way you can
get in that.
But do the warm up drills.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at, I think the average career is like 2 years, 3 years, and the average salary, I mean, it's quite high compared to when I was. I think it's around 800,000, but there's a lot of guys making under that. And when you factor that into your net worth or how much you're going to make over a lifetime, it's really just a portion, right? So there's a lot, and like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of runway left in your lives of planning and things. So they do a better job now with trying to help things out and offer seminars and stuff. But when I kind of was done, there wasn't that much there. It was kind of thanks for your service.
Right. Yeah, no, I imagine that there'd be, and back then, especially as you detail, like there's not the same, like, I guess that would kind of almost fall in step with like mental health initiatives and just general player wellness. And, we're not so far removed where that was just like, that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, well, you see, I think there was a former Oiler I've seen 2 players recently that took time off. Went home and kind of just the anxiety, like reading their stories, just not even eating before games because the pressure to perform and wanting to stay. It's there's a lot of stress with hockey. There's stress with everything, but I remember, I wouldn't have food in my house because I was worried about getting sent to the minors. So
Yeah.
I was just grabbing like a few things each day, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
It's because you just your lives are, you just don't know day to day. Not everyone, obviously, the higher echelon players don't have to worry, but man, if you're just a journeyman kind of hockey player, they can move you at a moment's notice. So it's
And that job pool is never really, unless there's an expansion team, then you get perhaps 23 new jobs are created.
Yeah,
and other than that, the entire world is fighting for 700 jobs.
It's crazy to think. I mean, what was it? It was 30 teams. So you're looking at, there was 60 positions, right? Of my positions in the
Right,
in
yeah.
that field,
As a
right?
goalie too.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So, you can't go to right wing.
No, yeah, I tried, but
That'd be awesome.
But no, I wasn't. I didn't pass the test. So, but yeah, so that's another thing. There's just you can't. You want to play in that league? I mean, there's other leagues, and of course, I ended up going to different places. But it's a little stressful for sure.
Yeah, totally. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I see you on TV all the time doing spots and whatnot. I mean, you're somebody who's in the public eye and the kind of you pop in for, I guess, what would you call it? Is it color commentary? What is that?
Yeah, I guess not so much color, just maybe an analyst,
right?
You know, so an analyst role with the Oilers with some of their things. I really don't know how that's another thing I kind of just fell into. I went on the radio a few times, and I guess the one good thing of COVID was that people couldn't travel. Oilers hockey was still going on. They needed some local guys. I had done some radio work, some podcasts, things like that. And I was approached by people at Sportsnet to see if I would join the panel. That's cool. Funny story, actually. I might as well tell it. I'll never forget it because it was January 6th. The insurrection was happening in the States.
Oh, yes.
And I was talking to my friend, and I got another call from, it was a 416, so a Toronto area number, and I thought it was one of my old hockey buddies phoning me because we talk once in a while, and he left a message, which was weird. So after I got off the phone with my friend discussing the U.S. falling apart, I phoned the number, or I listened to the message, and it said, hey, my name is Rob Corte. I'm vice president of TV or whatever with Sportsnet. And I was like, I thought it was my buddy just kind of messing with me from Toronto. So I phoned the number back and I said, hey, screw you. But it was actually Rob Corte. And so I was like, oh my gosh, sorry. I thought it was my buddy. And he goes, yeah, would you be interested in doing some panel work with Gene Principe? And I said, for sure. But I remember hanging up on the phone and going, gosh, what did I just say yes to? Just completely panicked about going on TV. So, yeah, I guess there's been a few transitions to different occupations that I've gone through definitely over the last few years.
It's funny, 6 degrees of separation or what have you. I have one of Gene Principe's old suit jackets in my closet upstairs. I don't know how this all, and I have a Hockey Fights Cancer purple tie too.
Oh, no way.
I don't know how it came about, but Jean's wife worked, because I understand now she ran or won for counselor or something like that, which is awesome. But it was a dental hygienist or something out of Aunt Patty's practice, or formerly her practice out in Fort Dental. And then somehow my Auntie Patty's like, "Do you need this suit?"
Oh, really?
And then I tried on. It's kind of a good fit.
Oh, perfect.
I'm like, right on. I'm wearing Gene Principe's suit. I got this power. Tried to do puns. I brought props. It didn't work. But,
that's great.
Yeah, but well, that's really cool. But the one through line I see through it all is obviously you have like kind of a gift of gab or whatever. You were able to go into people's houses and speak with them, and obviously that skill was cultivated before you entered into your career with Shaw, and then you move on to this career where you have the finance thing. You're very well measured on camera, so you got the Sportsnet thing. So it's like, meanwhile, while hockey's going on, you're kind of secretly developing and cultivating this alternative skill set that has now kind of become the new you.
Yeah, it's, getting reps, obviously you're going to get a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. It's weird, actually, looking into the camera all the time.
Yeah.
I had to get used to that a little bit. But I mean, Gene is so easy to work with. He's an expert.
Oh yeah.
If you're failing a little bit, he can lead you in things and stuff like that. So it's very easy work.
Yeah, I mean, the energy guy is so important, and Gene always brings the positivity, the energy, and everything. I mean, yeah, he's great for that. You both are great for that. I think that overall, it's really interesting to kind of hear about your transition, and honestly, I mean, that it's been good the whole way. Because as we discussed with the NHLPA and whatnot, I do fear, and I don't think it's, misconstrued, that some people, especially previously, were kind of, you hear stories about athletes that are kind of dead in the water afterwards because of, they've just poured their whole life into these soft skills that just aren't applicable on in the legal firm or whatever. And then, of course, they need to do that because, as you said, there's 60 positions in the entire world for you in that bracket.
And you have to realize that that depending on what you did before or how you end your career, that type of paycheck isn't going to be the same when you retire. There's very few guys that can actually make more after their career. So there's a huge transition with lifestyle at that point, right? There's no more trips to Fiji every second, every few months, or the Gucci purses kind of stop. So there's a huge kind of switch in people's lives, and like I said, I think that the biggest is that runway of life and figuring out what to do next. I was lucky. I've talked to a lot of guys that there's been a lot of sleepless nights after they retired because they didn't know what they were going to do. Even some well-off guys that don't have to worry about anything, they have no purpose anymore. Yeah. Right? So that's another thing that's very difficult for especially former athletes, and they just they don't have direction. They don't know what to do. They don't need to do anything, but you always need something to do. It keeps you going for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of wrestling that sometimes myself, having moved, and I'm like, I don't really act that much anymore because it's not as easy as it was in my previous city. And, since my daughter was born, I scaled back comedy a lot. And right now I'm like, I need to get back into something because I'm feeling kind of rudderless.
Yeah.
And because, comedy's was a part of my life, 3 or 4 nights a week at least, every week in perpetuity for over a decade. Now it's not necessarily the same. And as you say, I'm kind of feeling like in the middle of kind of an identity crisis. And I'm like, is this middle age or is this is this legit? Like, how do I assess this?
We go to the Harley store.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the more and more we get to, do some more creative things and whatnot, it's nice to be here hosting your show.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It's been great having you as a guest. Thank you so much for sharing your origin story, Joaquin. It's really cool. I love the program that you're putting together. Old Young Man's Game. I hope you folks enjoyed it. You want to take it out?
Thank you for joining us on Young Man's Game. We'll stay tuned for more episodes coming soon.